In Chapter 1, we're going to talk about the Information System Security Policy Management. In this session, we're going to explore the fundamental concepts of information system security. We'll look at information assurance, governance, and also the importance of information system security policies within an organization. First, we're going to define information system security. That's going to refer to the protection of information and the systems that store, process, and transmit that information. It involves safeguarding the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information assets. There are different types of frameworks that can be used. One of them will be COVID, that was developed by the Information Systems Audit and Control Association and the IT Governance Institute. What this is, it's a globally recognized framework for the governance and management of enterprise IT. So COBIT is going to provide the guidance and best practices for organizations to allow them to effectively control and manage their information and technology resources. It does have 5 different key principles in here that it will meet the stakeholders' needs. It covers the enterprise from end to end. It applies a single integrated framework. It enables organizations to view IT from a broader perspective, considering all aspects of the governance, risk management, and compliance. And it also separates governance from management. Now, these information system security management lifecycle, that's a systematic approach to managing information security throughout an organization. It does consist of various stages, such as planning, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance. This life cycle helps organizations establish comprehensive frameworks for managing information security effectively. There are some common types of assessments and audits with the information system security management lifecycle. Self-assessment is typically in the form of quality assurance or quality control. You can have an internal audit that consists of reports to the board of directors to assess the businesses. An external audit is performed by an outside firm. If they're hired by the company, they validate the internal audit work and maybe perform special assessments. And then you can also have a regulator audit. That's going to be performed by some government agencies. It's going to make sure the company is in compliance with the laws and regulations. The ISO/IEC 38500. This is an international standard that provides guidelines for the governance of IT within organizations. One thing it does outline the principles and practices that helps organizations effectively manage and utilize IT resources to achieve their business objectives. Now, one of the things this does, it's the standard for this is it emphasizes the role of the governing body in overseeing IT decisions and ensuring alignment between IT and the organizational strategies. Information assurance focuses on ensuring the reliability, integrity, and availability of information. There are 5 pillars of information assurance mode. These pillars form the foundation for establishing robust information security practices within the organization. The confidentiality, that refers to the protection of sensitive information from unauthorized access, disclosure, and exposure. So the confidentiality really says only the person that is authorized to view this material has access to it. Some of the ways that you can use to ensure confidentiality include encryption, access control, secure communication channels, Those are different ways that can be used to help um, ensure confidentiality. Integrity ensures that the accuracy, completeness, and trustworthiness of data and information. So it involves safeguarding the data from unauthorized modifications, um, deletions, access controls, or alterations. There are some data integrity mechanisms can be used, such as checksums, digital signatures, access controls. Those can be used to help prevent unauthorized tampering, or corruption of the data. The Montgomery Cube. This is a framework used by information security to assess the effectiveness of security controls in protecting information assets. This was developed by John McCumber. It's often used in conjunction with risk management practices. So it does consist of three dimensions. You have your availability, your integrity, and your confidentiality. You can want to ensure that they are protected by using, while they're in three different states, in transmission, storage, or processing. And we protect those by using policies, technology, and then training. And this is just a model for that framework. So it's used for organizations to help evaluate their security posture, identify areas where improvements or additional controls are needed. When an organization looks at this and they go through and they understand uh, they assess their security controls in relation to these three dimensions, they can be better understanding of their strengths and weaknesses of their security measures. And then it helps them make informed decisions to mitigate those risks and protect the information assets effectively. All right, so now we're going to explore governance and its importance to an organization. Governance refers to the set of procedures, uh, policies, and processes that guide and regulate an organization's actions and decision making. It also ensures that organizations operate ethically, responsibly, and in alignment with its goals and objectives. The governance also establishes accountability and transparency and risk management mechanisms. And that is something that's going to be vital for an organization's success. Now, governance is important because it does provide a framework for decision making, accountability, and oversight within an organization. It helps ensure that the organization's activities are conducted in a responsible and ethical and effective manner. So, some of the key reasons why governance is important. It provides assurance and confidence that rules are being followed. It lets the senior management know businesses that the business objectives are being met. Senior management also needs to know that the investment the organization has being made is being properly managed. The senior management, or excuse me, the regulators also look at government structure for assurance that risks to shareholders, customers, and public are being properly managed. It provides effective governance um, that embraces quality control and quality assurance as part of their culture. And it's also important that the governance is evident in a configuration management process. So, what are information security policies? So, we're going to look at these. These can be defined the rules, guidelines, and best practices that govern the use, protection, and management of information assets within an organization. Now, it's important to understand the difference between policies and standards, as well as policies and procedures. Policies outline high level principles and objectives, while standards provide specific requirements and technical specifications. These procedures that we'll look at, on the other hand, they're going to detail the step by step instructions for implementing policies and standards. And some others here is guidelines and its parameters in which a policy, standard, or procedure is suggested. And then definitions there was statements are going to define the terms that are used in that. So all of these are going to be important in our policies. One of the differences you'll see between standards and policies, policies are internal documents. They're created and used within an organization for internal purposes. These documents are typically meant for internal communications, record keeping, decision making, policies and procedures, and so forth. Now, policies, for example, this is an internal document that gives the outlines and guidelines, rules, and processes employees must follow within the organization. External documents, on the other hand, are created for communications with external entities. That's something that exists outside of the organization. Maybe a external stakeholder, such as client, customers, suppliers. Standards are established by authoritative bodies or organizations to provide guidelines, specifications, and best practices in various fields. That's something that's going to be tended to be widely adopted by different organizations, industries, and even sometimes governments. So we'll look at how policies and procedures and standards are all different. Policies and standards, as we said, policies, they're the statements that provide guidance and direction for decision making and actions within an organization. They outline the organization's principles, values, and overall objectives. And they also set the framework for the desired behavior and establish the rules and boundaries for employees and stakeholders. Standards are going to be more specific and detailed than policies. They define the specific requirements, criteria, and specifications that need to meet to ensure consistency, quality, and compliance. Once again, they're usually developed by an external governing body or external organization. And what they do is they define the best practices. Procedures, they're on step by step instructions or guidelines and outline the specific action taken to carry out a particular task. They provide the detailed instructions on how to perform those tasks. And something that's going to be more operational in nature, and they're going to serve as a reference for employees to ensure consistency and efficiency in executing specific activities. All right, so let's discuss the creation of policies, of information security policies within the organization. You see on the screen, we have a couple of different options here: the COBIT, ISO 17799, NIST 800-12, or SANS. All of these are giving you frameworks for on a creating a policy. SANS, for example, even has downloadable templates that you can download and look at how a policy is written. So when you create a policy, you need to involves analyzing the risk, identifying compliance requirements, and involving the stakeholders from various departments. It should be integrated into an organizational structure and aligned with the organization's overall governance framework. It should be communicated efficiently to employees and regularly reviewed and updated to address any emerging threats and changes in technology. So, where do information security policies fit within a organization? Typical IT infrastructure. This is something that can be divided into 7 domains. And each one of these domains represent a distinct area of focus in the terms of technology, operations, and security. All right, so we got our 7 domains. We have our user domain. That domain includes all individuals who have access to an organization's IT resources. This involves managing user accounts, access privileges, authentication methods, and user awareness and training on security best practices. Next, we have our workstation domain. Okay, this comprises has individual user domain devices such as desktop computers, laptops, cell phones, or smartphones, tablets, and then that involves managing the configuration, security settings, software installation, and patch management of these devices. The local area network domain that encompasses a network infrastructure within a localized area. That's something that's typically within a building or a campus. It's going to include managing the network devices such as switches, routers, wireless access points. And then they're also implementing network security measures such as firewalls, intrusion detection systems, VLANs. The LAN to WAN domain. This focuses on the connectivity between the organization's local area network and the wider area network. That could be something that could be the internet or it could be a private network. And it involves managing the routers, gateways, VPNs, and other technologies that enable secure communication between the LAN and external networks. A WAN domain deals with the wide area network infrastructure, and that connects geographically uh, dispersed locations of an organization. This includes managing leased lines, internet service providers, network protocols, and also ensuring secure and reliable connectivity between the sites. The sixth area is the system application domain. It involves managing the organization's servers, databases, applications. This domain includes the configuration, maintenance, and security of server operating systems, databases, web servers, email servers, and other critical applications. And finally, we go to the remote access domain. This focuses on providing secure remote access to the organization's resources for authorized users. One of the things it involves implementing and managing technologies such as the VPNs, remote desktop servers, multi factor authentication, and also secure remote access policies. Okay, so now let's explore why information system security policies are important. Well, first and foremost, the policies support operational success by providing clear guidelines for employees, reducing risk, and ensuring compliance with any legal or regulatory requirements. Now, without policies, running a business could be very challenging. There may be confusion, inconsistency, and increased vulnerability to security breaches. Failing to implement policies can also lead to serious consequences, including financial losses, repu- reputation damage, and also legal implications. It's also equally important to implement the right policies that are aligned to the organization's specific needs and the risk. So now let's discuss when organizations need information system security policies. These policies are required during various scenarios, such as business process reengineering, when significant changes are made to existing processes, continuous improvements initiatives to address evolving risk and challenges, and also making changes in response to problems or incidents. Those are times that you will need to go back and review your policies. Uh, policy policies. When you go through these, you'll see the steps here. You plan your policy out. You create or refine your process baseline. You do research and benchmarking for your systems. Develop the future process, and then add the governance routines. Now, policy acceptance can be challenging. There are factors that are mentioned are important to addressing these challenges. So we'll look at some of these challenges. Um, One of the challenges of accepting it would be organizational support at all levels. Excuse me. So it's crucial to have support for policies from the top level management down to the frontline supervisors. So when leadership demonstrates a commitment to the policies and a consistency to follow those, it sets a positive example for employees and reinforces the importance of compliance. Involving employees in the policy development process can also increase their sense of ownership and engagement. When you seek their input, feedback, and suggestions from employees, it allows them to contribute to the creation of policies that are more relevant and practical. Also, when employees feel their voices are heard and their needs are considered, they're more likely to accept and to adhere to those policies. It's also important to communicate those policies effectively, and that is a key to ensuring awareness and understanding. Having clear and concise policies supported by training programs and awareness campaigns that can help employees grasp the purpose, expectations, and potential benefits of the policies. Providing these opportunities for clarification and addressing questions can further enhance understanding as well. Also, recognizing and rewarding individuals who consistently adhere to the policies can reinforce that positive behavior and encourage others to follow suit. This can be done through incentives, acknowledgments, performance evaluations, but consider policy compliance as part of the individual's contributions to the organization. Finally, holding individuals accountable. You want to establish a system for monitoring and enforcing the policy compliance. That is something that it is crucial. So when individuals know that noncompliance will be addressed and there are consequences for violations, they're more likely to take the policy seriously. Some of these consequences could include disciplinary measures, corrective actions, or performance management processes. By addressing these challenges, organizations can foster a culture of policy acceptance and compliance. It requires comprehensive approaches that combine leadership, support, employee involvement, effective communication, reinforcement of positive behavior, and accountability for noncompliance. Now, policy enforcement, they can also lead to various challenges as well. One of those we say poorly written policies, policies that are unclear, ambiguous, or overly complex. They can create confusion and hinder enforcement efforts. So it is important to ensure that policies are written in a clear, concise, and easily understandable manner. These policies should provide specific guidelines and instructions to facilitate proper enforcement. Also, if employees or other stakeholders fail to report policy violations or breaches, it can impede effective enforcement. Now, this may occur due to fear of retaliation, lack of awareness about reporting mechanisms, or perceptions that reporting is ineffective. So, you want to establish a confidential and accepting reporting system that's fostering a culture of trust and transparency. This can help encourage individuals to come forward with infractions. Lack of involvement and enforcement by key departments and management can also be an enforcement challenge. So, our successful policy enforcement, it requires the active involvement and support of relevant um, departments and management. If key departments or managers are not engaged in enforcement efforts, then do not prioritize policy compliance, it can undermine the effectiveness of enforcement. Collaboration and coordination across departments and management levels are crucial to ensure consistent and fair enforcement. Finally, the lack of clearly defined roles and responsibilities. So, if these roles that are and responsibilities that are related to policy enforcement are not clearly defined, It can lead to confusion, gaps in accountability, and inconsistent enforcement. So it's important to establish clear lines of responsibility, designate individual or teams to responsible for enforcement, ensure everyone understands their roles and obligations. Regular communication and training can help clarify expectations and promote adherence uh, to assigned responsibilities. So that's going to finish up chapter 1. Be sure to go back and read the chapter and make sure that you do complete your weekly discussion for this week.